Hey everyone, it's Paul from Alexander Knife Sharpening, and I wanted to show you a new item I got into the shop. Recently, you guys might have seen a video I did on not throwing out your old belts because, or a damaged belt, because you can do things with them like cut them in half and utilize a smaller belt, which comes in very handy sometimes when you're sharpening knives, if you have to reduce bolsters. And when I started doing that, I started searching for a belt cutter, which I thought would be a pretty common thing, only to find out it's not that common. And I was only able to find two on the market that were belt cutters, and one was strictly designed to cut 2-inch belts into 1-inch belts. It wasn't adjustable, and that was all it did. But I finally found one by this company, and I'll give them a shout out. It's Hardcore Products, and they make an adjustable belt splitter, and it has a couple plastic guides that can go in to hold the belt in while you pull it through the cutter. Now, the plastic guides they have 4 different sizes here, but it doesn't necessarily cover every single size. But I found it wasn't an issue. Sometimes I was splitting belts, and I had to not use the part that would hold the belt down. But once again, not a big deal at all because I was able to do it with my finger. But I want to show you guys what this does. So look at these. So here's some belts that I split, and this is a 100 grit Trizact belt right here that I was able to split down to this little teeny, maybe this is a 1/4 inch, I'm guessing, on that size exactly. In fact, I can find out exactly how. Let me grab a measure. All right, so the smallest size I was able to make here, let's see, in metric for our metric friends out there, 5.6 millimeters is this nice little belt here, and in inches that would be 732s. So that is a tiny belt, and it's really cool because I can make custom size belts now when I need them, and also for things like this. So here's a 180 grit Trizact belt. You can see it kind of got a lot of wear here in the middle, but the sides are still great. So I'm going to split this and cut it right down the sides and make some smaller Trizact belts for this, so that I can have a couple small Trizact belts around. So I'm no longer splitting these with scissors and cutting them myself. They really track nice if you use a splitter. And once again, that's Hardcore Products that I got that from. And let me show that to you again. They did a beautiful job of machining this. It's beautifully done. Easy to take apart. Now, depending on the belt that you're splitting, you might go through one blade on just one belt. Doing a pretty heavy duty Trizact belt or a Cubitron belt like that's probably going to destroy the blade. But it uses these utility blades, regular razor utility blades. It came with a few of them. I think they gave me 4 or 5, but I bought a box of 50. But it's just these standard, square, or I guess they're rectangular utility blades. So it's this kind of blade right here. And I got a whole box of 50 of them for about $10 on Amazon. So, no big deal if you go through a blade splitting a belt. That the blades aren't expensive. So you can get them pretty easily online from a lot of places, and you're not going to break the bank even if you blow through a blade per belt. I was able, and if it's a lighter belt, you won't go through that many. But it's really well machined, really well made. About the thing that takes the most time is changing the blade out. You have to just get in here and unscrew these two screws, and then the whole thing comes apart. And it's even milled for a spot for the blade to go in. I mean, they did a really nice job of machining this. It's not an inexpensive item. This runs for about $140. I think it was $140 even. I'll leave the link in the video to it. But if you want to split your belts in a way that it's just perfect for them, like so that it's like you bought it instead of trying to cut it with a pair of scissors, this would be the way to go. And I really, really happy with this item. So big shout out there to Hardcore Products, and they're doing a lot of pretty cool knife things. So you might want to check them out if you're a knife maker or knife sharpener, and you might see some other cool items in there that might be worth your time and money. All right, so that's it for the new item for the shop. Should I split a belt? Why don't we split one? All right, so here's that Trizact belt. So basically, this is a 1-inch belt, and I have this set for the smallest size. And I'm just going to get it started on where that razor is, and let me make sure I'm pulling the right way. So okay, so the blade that's going to be pulling towards me. And what I was doing was just getting it started. There we go. So that's started. Now I'm going to grab my little plastic insert. And that goes in here and holds the blade down like this. And then you can just start drawing the belt towards you. And it goes around and tracks right in there and cuts the belt for you. And I could probably split several. I could split this belt into several belts, as you can see. And that's basically what you do. You just go all the way around and split your belt. So with this belt splitter, I was able to make this little teeny tiny belt you see right here by splitting a regular belt. And you can see how nice and even it is. I was doing this before with a pair of scissors, where if I needed something really small, I was saving older belts to do it. But now with this belt splitter, I feel confident I can split any belt, a new belt, and then have custom sized belts. Now some of you might be like, well, what do you need that little teeny tiny belt for? But I'm going to show you. It's really great for stuff like this. So this knife's bolster was way too high. It needed a lot of work. But it's also really too fat now down here. So I can use this to thin this bolster out and to polish it up and make it just look really nice. And there was a sharpener who's now retired who lived near me. He tended to just grind straight in on the bolster and leave it flat, but he also left it really flat. And I just don't like that. I like to take the time and just kind of do it right and make it look like what it should look like, and to thin it back out and make it the appropriate size bolster for what that knife currently is. And so that's what I do with these little small belts. And the reason is to make them small. It's really nice because if you're trying to do this with a big belt, inevitably what will happen is, and you can see this is a mark from the this isn't from me, that's actually from the prior sharpener. He accidentally hit the handle, and when you're working with a big belt in there on the bolster, it can be very easy to do something like that, to smack up against that handle. And this way I can really just get in here and really make these look nice and thin it out and make it the appropriate size again. So another great use for being able to make custom sized little belts is for doing serrations. So I have this knife that came in that was really completely dull and not sharp at all. And these little belts are just really great. So I can get in here and I can just work right in that serration and raise a nice little burr on there. And this one was really, you could tell someone tried to sharpen this a few times and they had really kind of chewed it up on the other side. It looked really, it didn't look nice at all. But this is, besides using it to thin bolsters, I've also found for serrated knives, these little tiny belts are really great. So what I do is I just get in there and raise a burr and try and make that serration little scallop look real nice again. And then I will real quickly, usually just knock the burr off the backside. And immediately, I mean, this knife, this serrated knife already feels considerably sharper. Yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, it's just, it's cutting great. 4,000 grit Trizact belt that wasn't running great and made a small belt for it. And you can see that's running really well. And I was using it to recut this serrated knife. I used this was super dull and really chewed up and ugly. I think someone tried to pull this through a pull-through sharpener, but I hit it at first with a 120 grit Kubitron belt, which really gave it a big solid burr, was raised. Then I went in with a 600 grit and cleaned that up. And now I'm doing the 4,000 grit Trizact belt that I just cut. And this is so fine, this belt. I mean, this belt is almost like a hone. And I can use it actually to remove any backside burr there. Whew, that is sharp. Let me show you how sharp this is now, guys. Watch this. And that's beautiful cutting for a serrated knife. It's even push cutting. Yeah, look at that. It's push cutting right in between those serrations, which is really what you want. That's fantastic. Yep, it is push cutting this whole length of this knife. And it shined this up real nice. It looks real nice. So really loving the belt splitter, and the new 4,000 grit Trizact belts that I got from Cliff Curry are pretty impressive.